Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Mae-Rose O'Connell.
Hello, is there any old people in?
Yes.
It's nice to be out of the house. Is there anyone here over 40? 50? 60? 70? Just me and, I was really worried about that I'd be the oldest person here today. Turns out I am. But looking around, some of you need a little bit of work. Are you afraid of getting older? Anybody?
Yes.
Do you feel that life is passing you by? Well, I used to be a wallflower, now I'm a dried arrangement. I came here yesterday to learn about my mistakes. So I've learned a lot from them, so I've come here to make some more. Research tells us that we're living longer lives, and we're becoming perhaps a burden to society and a menace to society. Isn't that fabulous? I've been looking for years to do that. I've finally accomplished something. So did you know that there's this is on the planet of the apps? And there's no apps for old speed bumps like us to even work out how to use an iPhone. So we're sort of like trapped in society, so we need your help. But there is evidence that in other cultures, there are people who live till way over their 100. They play, they sing, they dance, and there's not an incontinence pad in sight. So what's the difference? It's attitude. It's attitude about living together in a culture that lives sustainably. They actually have days where they speak together. They actually have speaking days, and they have listening days to each other and their children. I was born in 1943. My father was an army officer in the Second World War. My grandfather was a light horse brigade, and my mother would have made a great prison warden. And in those days, we weren't allowed to speak. We were told to be seen and not heard. Shut up and sit down. So we were trained to be introverts, agoraphobics, so we didn't have a voice. So as a child, I was very introverted and found it very difficult to speak. Then when I was a little bit older, I actually was hit by a car and broke my jaw. Then just after that, I was about 20 when I was a rally driver. I went through the windscreen, broke my face, and I used to be sensational. I was stunning. But silent. So then from there, I had to have the jaw refractured to take out a tumour that had stopped me from speaking. So I was wired up for 2 years and was fed through a straw, which was interesting because I couldn't whistle, couldn't eat an apple. And so I was sort of trapped in my own head sort of thing. So then later on, I lost control of the tumour and it went to my throat. So they've taken out part of my voice box. So you'll have to lean in and listen because I can't shout and I can't talk for long. So if you can't hear me, I'll just wave and I'll do my best to yell. So I was fortunate to be brought up with two fabulous ladies who were in their 90s when they passed. It was my mother was 95.5, my mother-in-law was 98.75, which is they were easy listening ladies because it sounded like an old radio station, doesn't it? So we grew up in that culture where we were seen and not heard. But I have been a medical practitioner for several years, and I have been. Would anybody like to become free range and cage free? Yeah. And would you still like to turn heads in your 70s? Yes. And would you still like to become more and do more? Yes. Well, in my book, Live Till You Die, I teach you how to become more, have more fun, and be more fun, how to cash in on your life's experiences and tell your stories. And I also encourage you to become ambassadors for attitude. And I'd like you to be also interested in talking to me a bit later on about how to live till you die. And death is inevitable, so I'm going by the scenic route.
Well done.
You are going by the scenic route. Mae-Rose, you are funny, but you've got a huge story to share. So it's hard to be funny and share a message that is so important. And you do both. I see you actually as a YouTube sensation. Not just not just for the elderly, but for the younger ones. The ones who can take a longer scenic route. There's this quote I like to share, and the aging population is growing. People know that. Your market is huge. But beyond that, your market reaches to people younger than the aging population. There's this quote, actually by Steve Jobs. Here's to the crazy ones. The misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in square holes, the ones who see things differently. They are not fond of rules. You can quote them, you can disagree with them, you can glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is to ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Thank you for changing our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mae-Rose.